Hey there, it's Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, live back again here on LinkedIn, and we're also live on Facebook. And I'm very excited. I have a fellow Troy member, Troy Chamber member, I should say, joining me here today, Evan Agnello. Evan, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, doing really, really good. Hey guys, and if you're watching us live right now, I want to invite you to leave a comment below and just tell us where in the world you're watching from, and how are things going for you working from home. And Evan and I were getting the call started today, and I actually wanted to change rooms because I've been in the same place doing so many calls lately. I just want to have a different background. And I had to adjust kind of lighting and get things kind of squared away and figure out what my background was looking at and everything. And then Evan, we had a little bit of an audio hiccup, so we were trying to kind of troubleshoot that process and getting things set up. So, this remote workforce that we're in right now is definitely throwing us some challenges, right, Evan?
That's right. I mean, many companies are struggling to kind of move to that remote, but I notice the longer and longer we're working remotely, people are finding different ways and are starting to get introduced to different products that are out there on the market that help make working from remote a little bit easier and more efficient.
Awesome. Well, we're going to jump into the conversation in just a few minutes here, guys. And you can see we're talking here about, I guess you have a topic on the screen here, moving to a remote workforce, which, gosh, a month or two ago, we weren't in the environment that we're in now. And, it's really forced us to figure out how to work from home. And, there's even discussion right now about when things return to normal, quote unquote, when we return to the workplace, that there may be a continued need for a remote workforce and even a gradual phase back and whatnot. So before we jump into that conversation, I just want to give a little bit of background here. So Evan and I are both fellow members of the Troy Chamber of Commerce. So if you're a fellow Troy Chamber member, drop a comment below. And he and I were both on, I think was it a Zoom, was it a happy hour or was it a structured, I don't remember what the
I think
topic
it was a Zoom happy hour.
Okay. Yeah. And it was, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, I don't think quite 20 of us, but we all went around and introduced ourselves. And as part of, I think we were talking about what is the challenge we're facing that day, and then any asks that we have. And my ask for that group, and these are all Troy Chamber members, and I kind of said, hey, I'm doing this LinkedIn Live interview series. If anybody wants to come on with me and kind of talk about, and the focus here is, I try to find inspiring people to inform and educate you. That's what I'm looking for. So when I did the ask out to the group, Evan was one of the first who replied back to me, and we ended up having a conversation. And I kind of learned a little bit about his company and what he does. And I said, hey, I think it might be for a really great interview, because I was already getting tips from him during that conversation. So I said, let's come on online and continue the conversation. But I don't think, Evan, have we met in person before? Or maybe we've been at events, but maybe not, met in person.
Yeah, we've been at similar events, but I don't think we've ever actually had an opportunity to network in person. Everything we've had conversations on has been over Zoom or a video conference.
Right. All right. So someday, maybe when the real world returns, we'll have the chance to be at an event in person and see each other. So if you could, Evan, for those who don't know you already, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what TeamLogic IT is all about, and then we'll get the conversation started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Evan Agnello. I'm actually born and raised here in Troy, Michigan. I've been here for a long time. Love the area. Recently, we started a new company, TeamLogic IT. So we're located at Livernois and Maple. We do everything for that small to medium-sized businesses need from their IT business, right? So their IT branch. So cybersecurity, running wires, setting up new laptops, and as recently moving workforces to a remote location, right? Making sure that your employees can access their data, whether it be from their personal computers or it be from what we call desktop as a service or Windows Virtual Desktop, or moving your service to a cloud or VPN. So there's a number of different ways companies are trying to accomplish those goals. And that's what we're here for. We're here to be your technology advisor, to make sure that when you spend $1 in your technology budget, that we stretch that with the right product, so you work efficiently and you're satisfied, and make sure that IT works.
Okay. Awesome. So how have you been helping companies? I mean, we went through, I mean, I remember back like January, February was kind of like business as usual. And then in February, kind of we shifted into something's happening overseas. Could it be coming here? And then all of a sudden it was like March just came in with the fury. And it was like the first 2 weeks, we went from, business as usual. And I remember being at a networking event one day, and then the next week I was kind of like, I don't think I should shake people's hands. And then the following week, it was like everything kind of shut down. So how have you been able to help people, as they're going through this process of being kind of a plugged in office environment at a building, now working from home?
So we've been helping people, most of our customers during that time, right? During that fall, winter time, we were already kind of having those conversations with our customers. So we wanted to make sure that not knowing there was a pandemic on the horizon, but there is always a concern that your employee's laptop gets destroyed, or the employee, if the employee quits, what kind of data was on there? Are you going to be able to recover that valuable information? Also, collaboration was a big piece. So we were helping customers right away, finding virtual desktops, making sure their data was backed up. And other people were starting to say, yeah, we're in Michigan. Everybody likes to go up north during the summer. And small business owners can't take that kind of time off unless if they're connected in. So we were actually trying to help our business owners being able to be connected from a remote location, whether it be a VPN, a TeamViewer, Splashtop, or whether it be a remote desktop that they can access from their phone or their iPad.
Can you even do that in remote locations? Because I think about, like, my husband's family has a place up in like Hubbard Lake, which is outside of Alpena, and the Wi-Fi is really spotty. We have to go into town to get coverage, which is good because it forces you to unplug. But can you help people in those situations, which are in like really spotty Wi-Fi areas?
Yeah, so internet is required to do all those various things, but for spotty, you can continue to work on your laptop, and then when if you can get to an area where you do have some sort of Wi-Fi connection, you can then back it up. Gotcha. But most of these products do require some sort of internet connection, whether it be a hotspot from your cell phone, or a cable DSL, a satellite internet type of connection. Doesn't have to be anything overly strong. And that starts to get into the conversation of prioritizing your connections.
Right.
So if you don't have a super strong internet connection at your house or at a remote location, you have to start balancing your family, right? So, if you have 2 kids, your husband, they all want to watch YouTube, Netflix, and play Xbox all at the same time, and you're trying to have a Zoom business call. Your home Wi-Fi doesn't know how to prioritize that. So there's products out there on the market. A good example is Big Leaf Network. They actually do these things for home, and it will prioritize Zoom conference calls or your VoIP phone call that you're having at your house. So this way,
so I can kick my kids off of Roblox, or what do you play, Charlotte? Is it Roblox? Or she's squealing in the background going, no! Or I know it's like YouTube is really big with the kids, like they watch YouTube videos instead of, so I can say, is it computer specific? Can I say like Brenda's laptop 1, Chris' laptop 2, and then prioritize, or how does that process work out?
So you absolutely can. And that's something that we can assist with, making it more specific. Typically you want to talk to an expert when you start getting down to the specific IPs that you will prioritize. But what's nice is a lot of products now will come standard where the phone and video communication will actually be prioritized over products like YouTube and entertainment products like Netflix and Disney Plus. Disney Plus is a big one in our house right now.
What was the name of that product again, Evan, that you said? Because I want to drop that in the comments right now. What was it?
So that product was Big Leaf Networks.
Big Leaf, like LEAF?
LEAF, yep.
Okay.
The idea of that is when without getting too much into their marketing, but the idea that the name comes from when a caterpillar eats a leaf, right, and cuts off one of the veins of the leaf, it's able to divert the nutrients around that cut vein and still get nutrients to the tree and to the leaf. So it's the same thing with the internet connection. When you get into a roadblock using a big leaf network, it will actually automatically reroute your traffic and prioritize what traffic's most important to you.
Okay, love it. All right. Did you hear that, Chris? My husband's in the other room. I think he put his headphones in right now, so I'm gonna like tell him to check that out afterwards. He's like my IT department here, so to speak.
Your IT department at home.
I never get the remote for the TV, and we've got we cut the cable, and we've got the all the streaming services and stuff. So I'm like, if I want to watch like TV, regular TV, I'm like, I don't know how to put the TV on. I'm like, how do you get to the local network? So he's coming in the room and switching things over. But he's also the Amazon shopper in our household. And, when we need something, he'll be the person that will look it up. So, he's my tech support, but it's really good to have, the information about something like that. Cause I hadn't even thought about that, and it is a challenge, with 4 of us at home. And I know many of the people that are watching probably are struggling with the same thing. And, the kids have their homework and then the kids have their playtime, and it's kind of nice that they're old enough they can be on the internet. But yeah, mom and dad have phone calls or Zoom calls or webinars that we need to be on. So how do we set that up so that we are given priority? Because, we're paying the bills. They're not paying them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's what's nice is that product's very plug and play. So it's something you just basically plug in and those prioritizations are already set, and you can get more specific if you'd like to. But they've made it very easy. And then when we do get back to normal from a small business perspective, it also allows you to have a second internet connection to that device. So or to that office. So it would automatically flip back and forth. If you were on a phone call, and let's say your internet connection started to go out, or a video call and your internet for Comcast was going out. Not that it would, but if it ever did, or it had an issue, it actually would automatically move back and forth between, WOW and Comcast, the two different connections. And you would never know the difference. It could do it 50 times during this phone call, and you'd never see a change.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very, very great product to have, especially if you are an office that's making a lot of outbound or inbound phone calls. They're a great product to look into.
Awesome. And speaking of phone calls, did you get a phone call from somebody at the Troy Chamber recently in the past week or so?
No, I don't think I have. Have you?
So I got a call from Sheila, and it was really nice. It was Sheila Denstead of the Troy Chamber. I'm not sure if she's watching this live, but I'll give her a shout out later. But I was on a call when it came in, so I didn't pick it up. But it was just a courtesy phone call, and she's like, "Hey, we're just calling all of our members and seeing how you're doing and seeing if you need anything, and if we can help you in any way." And that was it. And she's like, "Have a good day." And I was like, "Wow, that was really nice, to get a reach out from her, and it's nice to stay connected to people."
Yeah, and to give Troy, the Troy Chamber, a little shout out. I mean, I will say, they were pretty quick to move into these Zoom networking, right? Most of the other groups are still a little bit behind. Not really sure if they want to continue doing networking events remotely. I remember Troy kind of jumped right into one of those. It was a little bit more fun, a little bit more relaxed. It was like a happy hour.
Yeah.
Happy hour, and I think those are great, right? It's about making those connections and seeing those people, even if it is virtually, and hearing about that. You're not the only one. I'm not the only one that's going through this, right? I think it's fantastic to hear from other business owners, and sometimes you hear how they are able to get around certain issues and products that they may be using, or strategies that they're using at their business. So little shout out to them to kind of get up and running, and they're still running meetings for us.
Yeah, and I just threw their event page up on the screen here, and I think right now a lot of these organizations too are opening up their events so that both members and non-members can come and check them out. But I'll just throw this a link up on screen as well if you guys are interested in checking out. It looks like they have a virtual trivia happy hour coming up tomorrow and then Monday with Mayor, and I think they did a really good job of kind of flexing quickly and getting their staff and their support services set up. So let's go back to this comment, kind of the conversation topic here, Evan, about moving to a remote workforce. So how else are you helping organizations, or how did you help them within the past few months, and then how are you still helping them right now? Because I think we're now in this phase of we've gotten kind of we figured out what we need to do to work from home. Whether it's where we set up our office and get our printers and Wi-Fi networks and everything. So how are you continuing to help businesses now? And then how are you continuing to help them as we go into the next phase of starting to return back to work again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there is a lot of different aspects from this. I think, non-technically related, a little bit of my background is working in the software industry, and it's called agile development, right?
Okay.
So one of the things that we used to do there is every morning you'd come in and we'd have a daily stand-up meeting where we would actually physically stand up, right? So, we're people that work on computers at our desks. So it's nice to at least stand up for 15 minutes, and you'd go around the room and you were able to say, what did you do yesterday? What are you working on today? And are you having any trouble? And can anyone help? That really helped with efficiency of the teams. What we're recommending to a lot of our customers, that's one of those things that you can do virtually, whether it's at the beginning of the day, end of the day, twice a day.
Yeah.
It's about over communication. And so depending on what product you want to use for that, I mean, you can use Zoom. I know they had,
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Zoom? I'm curious for an insider. I mean, you work in the industry, and I know we had the conversation we had before setting up this call. We were talking about VPNs and security, and I'm like, oh, I know more. So, what are your thoughts on Zoom as a technology? Are you feeling comfortable with it, or what are your cautions to people who might be thinking about Zoom versus other platforms that are out there?
So I'll say this. So Zoom isn't my number one go-to. I do join Zoom meetings. That is the number one platform by far that really skyrocketed right away.
Right.
They had some security issues right away. They were, there were some other things going on there in the news. But what I'll say about Zoom is, they are a great company that corrected those issues right away. So if you noticed, if you were someone that were on Zoom every day, every time you went to go do a Zoom call at the beginning of the day, it would say there's an update that needed to be ran.
Oh yeah.
Being in software, when you see an update every day, that means they are making a lot of changes very quickly, trying to address a problem.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. So I mean, you can view it as a bad thing that there was an issue. But what's a good thing is that they're being extremely responsive, and they're trying to plug those holes. So I know that in software, it takes a very long time to get bugs and fixes repaired. They did it in a very short amount of time. So I'm very happy with Zoom. I think it's what also I like about Zoom is they do have a little bit more, I'll say, like fun features.
Yeah, with the backgrounds. I was on a call this morning, right? And we had there's a video background now that you can be like on a tropical beach, and I was like, yeah, I'm in Maui. I'm having my tropical drink.
Yeah, I was actually on a webinar, and one of the guys doing the webinar was actually a coffee shop video behind him. So it actually looked like he was physically in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And the comments, people were just yelling at him in a comment, "What are you doing in this crowded coffee shop?" He
was actually at a coffee shop.
They thought he was actually at a coffee shop, and he's like, "No, I'm in New York City. Like every coffee shop's closed. This is just a video background," and he kind of showed us. So, I mean, those are cool features that, if that draws people into being more comfortable on a video call, if that draws more individuals into using the technology, I think that's great.
Yeah.
A lot of the products out there, like, in our office, we started with Jive phone systems.
Okay.
And that's owned by a company called LogMeIn. When you purchase Jive phone systems, you automatically get GoToMeeting.
Gotcha.
Which is the same thing. It's a video. You can do video, but it's really more of a meeting for a conference call. And you can share screens, and you can do video. The big difference between the two companies, I'll say, is that Jive was a phone company that does video now, where Zoom is a video company that does phones and meetings now. Okay. So they come from different backgrounds, and you can see that in their feature set.
Okay.
So depending on, if you're going to be doing more video calls, I think Zoom's a great platform. If you just want to have conversations and that kind of thing. if you're going to do more trying to set up meetings where you're going to be doing presentations, I think LogMeIn has a great portfolio as well. So part of helping customers, we really like to address what are your business needs, and that helps determine what the best product is, right? Not just my neighbor uses Zoom, or my cousin uses Zoom, I'm going to use Zoom. It's really important to try to figure out what your business needs are and address those.
Yeah, because one size doesn't fit all. And I think, to your earlier point, like Zoom is really an open consumer platform. I mean, we're using it when we had family dinners and birthday parties and stuff now. And also I think for chamber events, and whether it's Troy Chamber or other organizations, it's easy to access a Zoom and to get into the Zoom. And after you start doing enough of them, you kind of understand what the features are. Whereas if it's a GoToMeeting or WebEx, you have to download new software and then kind of figure out how it works. So there's limitations and, considerations, I think, for each, but it's really good to hear your point of view. And I hadn't thought about the updates, those coming through, and I kind of just ignored them. But now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, they were working. And I kind of feel like right now where Zoom is at, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I kind of feel like they've stabilized. Like there are a few of my clients that say we have a company policy, we can't do calls with Zoom. So can we use WebEx or, some other platform? I'm like, sure, we can use whatever you like. And then, others are using Zoom personally, but professionally they use other platforms. But it seems like the most part, everybody's comfortable using Zoom. It's just, there's a little bit of like, I don't say panic out there. Like people are like, oh, it's not safe. Like I remember my mother-in-law, she was saying, well, I heard Zoom is not secure. And my grandson said, well, Grandma, what are you worried about? And she's like, well, them stealing my information. And we're like, you don't even go on the internet. It's kind of like you hear things in the news and you immediately think about, oh, they're going to hack my account. No, the risk was really, people Zoom bombing, figuring out the IDs and then coming into the meeting rooms. I thought it happened once. It was just somebody who yelled and then they kicked them out. But other than that, I mean, it's not like you're entering your social security number, your banking account to join a meeting. You're entering your name and your email, right? So I think, Evan, now what might make sense is let's shift gears and let's see who's joining us, and we'll see what kind of comments that we have here online. So I just want to kind of show you guys, I've had like the little streamer going underneath here. If you have questions for Evan, I don't know about you guys, I don't have an IT person, so having somebody like Evan sitting in front of us right now is really great because we can ask some questions about technology. And we also have a couple of folks that are joining us on Facebook. So while I'm pulling up my phone so I can look at the comments coming in from LinkedIn. I'll just throw some folks up on the screen here. We have Anissa Huddy who's joining us. And we have Paul Sherwood who's come in as well. And Paul saying he's finding Zoom much more intuitive, using Team for work. Is that another? Are you familiar with Team, Evan?
Yeah, I think he's referring to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is great. I think the Office 365 suite has really expanded. That's something that we actually, if you do have Office 365 accounts, business accounts already, using Teams for remote workforce is fantastic. Another product is called Slack. Both products are extremely similar. What that allows you to do is you can have a text conversation, within various channels, whether it's between you and one other individual or a team, where that text will be saved and searchable. And then you can hop right into a video call and continue on that conversation to take notes. So it goes back to that over communication. Great product. Definitely, we're seeing more and more businesses, if they didn't roll out Teams before this pandemic, they're all doing it now. Okay, good. It seems like everybody's kind of got their preferred platform, and depending on, the organization and kind of what they're using. So I'm going to put us back into our full screen mode here. And I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I like the tickers, and I'm like, they get kind of annoying after they're sitting up there for a while. So I'm going to hide the ticker so it's not continuously scrolling. So if you haven't left us a comment yet, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, if you leave it on LinkedIn, I'm gonna look at my phone and I'm gonna give you guys a shout out right now. So if you haven't left a comment yet, drop a comment right now, whether it's a question for Evan, if you agree with the technology we've talked about so far, if you have any questions for Evan about IT or whatnot. So we'll just give a couple of shout outs here. We have Pat Garcia joining us from Orlando. Pat and I were on a phone call this morning, Evan, at 6:30 in the morning, a productivity. Oh, wow. We're part of like a productivity group that's been organized by Jan Griffiths. And when I first heard about it, I'm like, who are these crazy people that are getting up at 6:30 in the morning? And we started doing it with them about a week ago. And I'm like, apparently I am now. I'm like one of these crazy people.
So we have Juan joining from Miami. We have Michelle Paquette from Waterford. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Elise Campbell is from West Bloomfield. Elise was inspired by my changing rooms, and I realized when I changed rooms, I also probably should have changed my attire because I've got a lot of dark in the background here. I'm kind of blending in with everything on here. But look at Evan's lighting, and I was trying to figure this out too. I had natural lighting on my window coming at me, and it was washing me out, so I closed my blinds, and now I kind of feel like it's dimmed, and Evan's got really great. Is that a skylight above you, Evan, or is that just a natural light above you?
No, that's actually like one of those old fluorescent lights.
Okay.
I'm actually on the other side of my desk facing the window, so I get that natural light coming right onto my beautiful face.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's good. I mean, brightly lit, very nicely. Dove Goodman says, after being closed for 52 days, we're back in business. So congrats, Dove. Tell us what your business is. Yeah. I'm curious where you are and what your business is, Dove. We have Derek from Weymouth, MA. Is that Massachusetts? MA?
Yeah, that would be Massachusetts.
Right? I had to go back to my 5th grade class and remember what my state abbreviations are. Is it Maine, Massachusetts? I think it's Massachusetts. We have Emma joining us from the UK, Evan, so we're international today.
All right. Yeah.
Vicki Servan Astel is a fellow Troy Chamber of Commerce member. Hi, Vicki. How are you? Nice to see you online. We have Teresa Law from Nashville, Tennessee. Mehmet joining us from Istanbul. Hello, thank you for joining. We have Majid joining us from Lahore, Pakistan. And Miguel says hello. Claudette is from Rochester Hills, and I'm just going to do a quick page refresh here. Looks like we up to about 155 viewers and about 19 comments so far. So yeah, and sometimes a little prodding here of of folks letting them know to comment, I think is really helpful. And guys, when you comment, here's the other thing too, you create visibility for yourself on LinkedIn or on Facebook. If you actually go out on Facebook, I'm going to throw this banner up on screen here. If you go out onto my Facebook page and you go to facebook.com/Meller Marketing, if you leave a comment there, what you can do is you can actually throw your comment up on screen. So you get a little bit of visibility for yourself and for your business. So a little bonus tip there. All right, so let's see here. Tanya Marcos Vano. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Looking good, keeping up the productive and inspiring work. Teresa has a beginner's question. She said a beginner question, but Windows app versus the web app. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Does that make sense to you, Evan?
I believe she's referring to so Office 365 is cloud-based, right? So you can access so if you have a Office 365 account, you can access Word or Excel from anywhere. You just have to log in to any device that has internet. So that would be the web app. So you can actually type and create documents and access Teams and all sorts of products through the web. There's also the Windows app that you would actually download to your computer, and that gives you that more traditional feel. So there's a few differences where the web app's gonna your auto save's gonna be on. What's cool though is you can share those documents across teams. So going back to that remote workforce, if I wanted Mark on my team who's working from his house and me on my house, we can actually type in the same document at the same time, and I can see the changes that he's making. So that's something that's really cool with the web app and what you can do with OneDrive. And I guess while we're on that topic too, working remote, if you have an opportunity, check out SharePoint. SharePoint is an extremely powerful tool for remote teams. We used it all the time at a number of companies that I've worked with. I've also worked with municipalities on setting up SharePoint. It's a great way to broadcast information to your organization. It's also a great way for teams to share information and to have one repository that's simple. So definitely SharePoint should be something. Let
me ask you a question on that, Evan, because I'm self-employed now. So when I'm sharing documents and resources with people, I'm often using Google, Google Drive. What are your thoughts on? I mean, I'm not sharing anything that's confidential, no social security numbers or addresses or things like that. What are your thoughts on Google Drive over SharePoint or some of the other options that there are for file sharing out there?
So I think Google Drive is okay. I think Google Drive, what's nice is I believe they give you more free space.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up, but I believe they are the ones that give probably the most free space. So for personal use, I don't necessarily like sharing a whole lot of sensitive information out there using Google Drive.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion. I know their cloud's been hacked in the past. But from a perspective of sharing information back and forth, I think it's a good product, especially for small organizations that, you're 1 to 2 people, you're very cost conscious, or, if I'm trying to share a, let's say a golf trip information with my buddies, I
Yeah.
think it's a fantastic product to do that on.
Okay. So you talk about golf. Have you been golfing? They opened up golf courses here back in Michigan again. Have you been able to get out?
No, so like we were talking about earlier, I have a newborn at home, so
Yes.
I haven't had an opportunity to get out.
Good for you though, because that means you're sharing the duties at home, and you're not just like saying bye, honey.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yes. No. And especially during a pandemic, and so we also have a 3-year-old that. So you can imagine a 3-year-old and a newborn.
It's all hands on deck for you right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to get away.
Yeah.
But I do think it's fantastic that everyone is out there getting their rounds in, and if you hadn't have an opportunity, there's some interesting pull carts that people have been using, whether it be a dolly or wagons. I mean, we've seen some interesting things out there on the web on how people are carrying their golf clubs.
Okay.
It's been fun.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to take golf carts right now, right? That was the exclusion. They said you can go golfing, but you can't have a golf cart. Right?
Yep. This way, the idea, right, is that you're not touching the same golf cart that someone touched in the morning, or you don't have to worry about someone disinfecting it.
Right, and also you're sitting next to your buddy, which is not within the six feet zone of social distancing, right?
That's right.
Golf partner out in there. All right, awesome. Well, Evan, any kind of closing comments for here today, and maybe kind of shifting the conversation a little bit to now we're all kind of working from home, and the remote workforce is kind of in place at home, and what do you think may happen next? I mean, I'm hearing it's not everybody's going to go back right away, and there may be a shift to splitting the workforce, and until there's widespread testing and a vaccine and people are feeling safe about returning back to work, it's going to have some huge impact. So what advice do you have for people on kind of what that next phase might look like, excuse me, and how your team might be able to help them?
So, I mean, we've been seeing a shift in the workplace, especially prior to this, of individuals wanting to work from home and work very flexible hours. It seemed to be a big push with millennials in general as they started to enter the workplace. And so there was this little give and take of, okay, you can work from home 1 day a week, you can work from home 2 days a week, or, okay, you have a half day, just work from home in the morning and then continue on your vacation for that half day. Now with this, I mean, I personally see that this is kind of here to stay. I'm not going to say that people won't be coming back to the offices. Right. I have a feeling though that the workforce is going to have the option, and employees are going to be looking for high talent employees are going to be looking for the option to be able to work from home a few days a week to reduce their amount of time they're having physical contact with people, especially until there is some sort of cure for COVID-19. I actually, and even I think beyond that, I think individuals during flu season, I think this has just changed the way people think in general. Yeah. I know prior to this as well, companies started to float the idea of a bring your own device work policy.
Yeah. What is that? BYOD or something?
BYOD. That's right.
There's been talk about that for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of actually, so people with desktop computers now are using their home computer to kind of get through this. That may become, a thing of the norm, and so it's really important that businesses have a policy of what devices people can use and what other things they can do with those devices. Part of that as well is like making sure that all your devices at home have endpoint protection on them, right?
Okay. What does that mean? Endpoint protection.
So it's antivirus or anti-malware software,
Wow.
you know, and it really prevents. I mean, just because we're in a pandemic doesn't mean a cyber criminal had decided to take it easy on all of us, right? It actually makes us more accessible. So I've actually gotten more, you know, I've been finding more spam things that have been going on, especially the ones of individuals that, you know, want to give you money, right? Because they know we're in a finance, you know, many people, as well as people who are laid off, we're all, you know, could be struggling for money, or, you know, the thought of having this, somebody in Ireland who won the lottery wants to give me €1 million, you know.
Wait, that wasn't real? I'm not getting the million.
Right. I mean, it was just, that was one that I actually recently received, is, you know, somebody wanted to give me €1 million because they won the Ireland lottery. So nice. That was just so nice of them. And, you know, it wasn't, was it an
uncle or somebody that, you know, came across your name someplace? Or
it was a real couple. So, like, surprisingly, that is a real story. Is this couple won the Ireland lottery, but they weren't giving their money away. Right. It was somebody used a real story and manipulated it and pretended to be them.
Yeah.
And so that happens all the time. And same thing with Amazon. You know, watch for Amazon.
Your shipment has arrived. Click this link. You know.
Yeah. And we need you to put your username and password in here to confirm that you received your shipment. You log in, and now they have your credentials, and you know, you may not find out about it for a little while. So it's just really important for people when you're working at home. You know, you're not necessarily as safe as then when your physical computer is within the physical building and on the network and plugged directly into the network. So just something to kind of keep in mind. And if you're a business owner or managing a business, those are things you should be thinking about. If you want your employees to continue working from home, you know, make sure they're protected. You know, avoid having that problem, and also make sure that their data and products are being saved, or backed up at least, or being saved in a remote location, like a SharePoint or a cloud-based backup. So if anything does happen to them or their computer, that data is not lost. It's still accessible.
Okay, good. And do you help people with planning for that process, or is it more like once they figured out what they need to do, they can contact you guys and help work through that? Or how do you help organizations at that phase?
So yeah, we help with planning, we help with executing, and also the maintenance of it. So you know, those endpoint protections and those firewalls, those aren't things that you just install and you just let go. Those are items that you really should be updating on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to get those updates. The landscape changes so often that the maintenance is, you know, overlooked, and that's where you can find vulnerabilities, and that's where people can ultimately get in. Same thing with the phishing. You know, make sure to just be aware if you get some sort of weird email that your boss wants you to buy gift cards and drop them off to a PO box,
right?
You know, call them. Just pick up the phone and call them. And, you know, you have their direct contact information. Don't reply to that email right away. So, you know, common sense things. But when you're working, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, or, you know, you're doing this flex scheduling and you're tired, those are things that, you know, your brain sometimes won't think about, and you'll just do. And it's happened.
Especially like the ones that sound, you know, like your Amazon package has arrived, click here for tracking info. It's really easy to go, did I order some? Oh yeah, I did order something on Amazon. Wait a minute, did I get it yet? You know, like, then you click on it and you're unfortunately, you've been scammed and phished, you know, so to speak. So
yes, and the biggest thing for that is when you get that, like, close the email out, open up Google, log into your Amazon account. You know, Amazon.com, right? Go to Amazon.com directly, and log in. Don't click their link. You know, you can find that information whether or not you ordered something or tracking. So it's just important to do that. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Evan. Really appreciate you joining us here today. And I've thrown your web address on the screen a few times if people are interested in learning more about TeamLogic IT. I'm also just searching for, I have your LinkedIn URL. I'll put that up on screen. Evan, are you open to accepting new connections from people if they invite you to connect on LinkedIn? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Feel free to reach out to me, connect, expand your network. I'm always looking to expand mine. Awesome. And guys, if you do reach out to Evan, make sure when you invite him to connect, add a note and just reference that you saw him on today's LinkedIn Live broadcast.
And if there was something particularly helpful that he shared, mention that in the note as well. Evan, thank you so much for joining today. It was really a pleasure talking with you online, and I look forward to seeing you in person at a Troy Chamber event in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and everyone have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and we'll get through this together.
There you go, guys. All right, thank you. Everybody stay safe. And as you're thinking about, moving your workforce back to work, if you need Evan's help with IT, definitely reach out and check out the great resources that he has through his organization. This has been Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing. Thanks for joining us again. If you're watching this in playback, make sure that before you end the video, you leave a comment below. Let us know where you're watching it from, and we'll make sure to reply back to you guys. All right, guys, have a good day. Thank you so much.